In the vast landscape of social media where fleeting moments of attention reign supreme, there's a troubling trend that often goes unchecked. The casual, sometimes cruel, public shaming of those who deserve our respect. This is a story about how a moment of viral arrogance met an uncompromising sense of justice delivered by the last people anyone expected, the notoriously fearsome Bandidos MC. Our story begins not on the open road, but in the sterile, brightly lit aisles of a suburban supermarket in a quiet, conservative town outside of Phoenix, Arizona. It was a mundane Tuesday afternoon, the kind of day where the biggest drama is usually deciding between organic and conventional produce. But this day was about to become anything but mundane. The central figure in the initial act of this drama is a young man we'll call Jake. Jake is 17, decked out in the latest fast fashion gear and armed with the supreme confidence that comes from a high follower count on TikTok. His entire world is filtered through his phone screen. His mission today wasn't groceries, it was content. He was live, broadcasting his every thought and action to thousands of anonymous viewers, desperate for the next viral hit. The target of his ill-conceived content walked slowly, navigating the aisle with the quiet dignity of a man who had seen too much. This was Mr. Thomas, an elderly gentleman in his late 70s. Mr. Thomas wasn't dressed for attention. He wore simple, practical clothes, and on his worn baseball cap, the faded emblem of the 101st Airborne Division stood testament to a lifetime of service. He moved with a slight, deliberate limp, a souvenir from a forgotten battlefield far away. He paused, leaning slightly on his cart, patiently trying to read a label in the dairy section. This is where Jake saw his opportunity. With a smarmy grin aimed directly at his phone camera, he began his performance. "Check this out, chat," he whispered loudly, intentionally keeping Mr. Thomas in the frame. "Look at this old dude, taking up the whole aisle. Seriously, Gramps, hurry up. Some of us have lives, you know? Like, is it that hard to pick up some milk? Must be all that ancient war PTSD making him slow. Dude probably thinks the expiration date is written in Morse code." He chuckled, a cruel, high-pitched sound, fishing for approving emojis and comments from his online audience. His tone dripped with contempt, his body language deliberately exaggerated to mock the veteran's slow, careful movements. Mr. Thomas, hard of hearing and focused on his task, didn't seem to notice the phone or the mockery. He eventually moved on, his cart clicking softly on the tile floor, completely unaware that a teenager was using his quiet struggle for cheap internet fame. Jake, however, was delighted with his performance. "See, he just limped away, total loser. Imagine spending your life fighting wars just to end up struggling with a gallon of skim milk. Smashing that like button if you think old people should just stay home." His followers were reacting, some egging him on, others expressing mild discomfort, but the views were climbing. Jake felt the rush of going viral, but as Jake stood there, still preening for his digital audience, an entirely different kind of audience was quietly assembling behind him. Unseen by Jake, who was entirely absorbed in his reflection on the phone screen, 3 hulking figures had turned into the aisle. These were members of the Bandidos Motorcycle Club, known far and wide for their large, imposing builds, leather vests heavily patched with the infamous Bandidos patch and the 1% diamond. They looked like shadows cast from a different world, a world of asphalt, chrome, and unyielding loyalty. Their names were Grizz, a man whose beard seemed to contain decades of dust, Viper, lean and sharp-eyed, and Hammer, whose arms looked like they could bench press a small car. They were not there for groceries. They were running a small, discreet errand for a local charity outreach they silently supported, collecting bulk non-perishables for a homeless shelter. They had approached silently, their heavy boots making almost no sound on the smooth floor. They had heard Jake's entire monologue. Every word of mockery, every sneering dismissal of a man who had sacrificed so much, landed directly on their ears. They stopped dead, their presence instantly changing the atmosphere of the aisle from brightly lit normalcy to something intensely charged and dangerous. For all their public image as criminals and outlaws, the Bandidos often operate under a strict, albeit self-governed code of honor. Respect for the elderly, especially those who served, is not merely a courtesy, it is an absolute law in their world. This young punk's disrespect wasn't just rude. In their eyes, it was an offense against a sacred principle. Jake finally ended his live stream, satisfied with the surge in followers, and turned around to put his phone in his pocket. He literally froze. The three enormous, patched-out men stood inches away, towering over him. The air was thick with the smell of leather and a palpable sense of menace. Jake's bravado vanished instantly. His face went pale, realizing immediately who they were by the distinct patches and the sheer intimidating authority they projected. He tried to stammer out an apology or an explanation, but the words caught in his throat. He was no longer performing for his virtual audience. He was facing a very real, very physical judgment. Grizz, the largest of the three, stepped forward, his expression absolutely devoid of humor. His voice, when it came, was a low, gravelly rumble that barely carried past the four of them, yet it sounded louder than any shout. "What was that you were saying, kid? Something about the old man being slow, something about PTSD?" He leaned in, and Jake instinctively recoiled, hitting the metal shelves behind him. "You think you're funny, huh? You think disrespecting a veteran for clicks is a good look?" Viper, standing guard, crossed his arms, his eyes fixed intently on the trembling teenager. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant music playing over the intercom. This wasn't about a physical fight. It was about a public lesson. "That man," Hammer interjected, pointing a thick finger down the aisle where Mr. Thomas had disappeared. "That man probably saw things you couldn't handle in your whole life. While you were sitting on your butt playing video games, he was fighting for your right to stand here and film your stupid little video." Grizz pulled Jake's phone from his hand before the kid could even react, the movement lightning fast despite his size. "You want to be famous? We'll make you famous. You're going to go find that veteran, look him in the eye, and you're going to apologize. And you're going to do it live." He reactivated the stream, and a new title flashed across the screen for Jake's horrified followers. "Real-time apology." Jake was trembling, his eyes darting wildly. He tried to protest, to whine about his followers, but a look from Viper silenced him instantly. This was the moment where the online world crashed hard into reality. This was a consequence that couldn't be ignored or filtered. The terrifying part wasn't the threat of violence. It was the absolute certainty that they would enforce their own code of honor. He had disrespected a hero, and now the outlaws were demanding atonement. This unexpected confrontation, this clash between generations and moral codes, was just the beginning of Jake's very public reckoning, a lesson in respect enforced by the unlikeliest of protectors. The supermarket aisle was suddenly the stage for a forced, uncomfortable confrontation, broadcast live to thousands of shocked viewers. Grizz held Jake's phone, keeping the camera steadily fixed on the young man's face, which was a roadmap of fear and humiliation. The views on the live stream were spiking dramatically. Jake's followers, initially amused by his original prank, were now witnessing something far more serious and unpredictable. They saw the three massive bandidos standing over him, their faces stern and unyielding, effectively transforming the teenager from a content creator into a terrified captive of the moment. "Start walking, kid," Viper commanded, his voice low and firm. "And you better mean every word of this apology." Under the watchful eyes of the three bikers, Jake was forced to retrace the steps of the veteran, Mr. Thomas. They found the old man in the checkout line, patiently waiting, slowly unloading his few items onto the conveyor belt. He looked tired but peaceful, completely unaware of the spectacle unfolding just a few feet behind him. The sight of Mr. Thomas's quiet, dignified struggle with his groceries made Jake's previous mockery seem even more shallow and grotesque. Grizz stepped closer, phone still recording, and gently tapped Mr. Thomas on the shoulder. The veteran turned, his eyes still sharp despite his age, and registered the sight before him. Three enormous, patched-out bikers and a pale, shaking teenager. Mr. Thomas's initial expression was one of mild confusion, perhaps a touch of apprehension, but no fear. A lifetime of facing genuine threats had left him unconcerned by three men in leather. Grizz, in a show of profound respect that shocked everyone watching the stream, touched the brim of his own head in a non-verbal salute to the veteran's 101st Airborne cap. Mr. Thomas, Grizz began, his voice softening just slightly, we are members of the Bandidos MC. We apologize for the disturbance, but we brought this young man here. He has something important he needs to say to you. He pushed Jake forward. The teenager swallowed hard, looking everywhere but at the veteran's eyes. The pressure was immense. The watchful bikers, the supermarket staff starting to notice, and the thousands of anonymous faces glued to his live screen. This was not the viral fame he had wanted. Mr. Thomas, Jake stammered, finally lifting his gaze to meet the veteran's calm, inquisitive eyes. I am deeply sorry. A few minutes ago, I filmed a video in the dairy aisle. I was live streaming on TikTok. I made fun of you. I mocked your pace and your service. I said terrible things about your struggles and your age, trying to get views. Tears welled up in his eyes, not entirely from fear, but from the crushing weight of public shame and the sudden, visceral understanding of his own cruelty. It was wrong. It was absolutely shameful. You deserve respect, not ridicule. I'm sorry. I truly am. Mr. Thomas looked at the trembling young man, then at the menacing figures of the bikers, and finally at the phone in Grizz's hand. He sighed, a sound that held the weariness of decades. What is this? Some kind of joke? He asked quietly. No, sir, Viper interjected firmly. This is not a joke. This is accountability. We heard every word, and we believe that disrespect for the men and women who served this country is unacceptable, especially when it's done for cheap entertainment. He needs to understand the gravity of his actions. Mr. Thomas looked back at Jake, searching his eyes for sincerity. He saw genuine remorse, or at least a genuine terror that looked exactly like remorse. Son, he said, his voice surprisingly gentle, I don't know who you are, and I don't know what TikTok is, but I know rudeness when I see it. Apology accepted. Now turn that thing off and live your life with more respect for others. He then looked directly at the Bandidos. And as for you, gentlemen, thank you. You didn't need to do that, but I appreciate it. Grizz nodded respectfully. It was necessary, sir. Now let us help you with the rest of this. In the most astonishing twist of the day, the three Bandidos proceeded to pay for Mr. Thomas's entire cart of groceries, insisting he take it. They then escorted him to his car, packing the bags themselves. The entire incident, from the apology to the act of charity, was streamed live, turning Jake's planned moment of viral mockery into a spontaneous, high-stakes display of unexpected chivalry and a powerful lesson in honor. Grizz handed the phone back to Jake as Mr. Thomas drove away. Here's your phone, kid. Now listen to me. That live video, the one where you apologized, we're leaving that up. You're going to use that fame you wanted to spread a different message. You're going to talk about respect. You're going to apologize again to your followers and tell them what true honor looks like. You owe Mr. Thomas more than just an apology. You owe him a change in your behavior. Jake, completely subdued, nodded numbly. The Bandidos then quietly turned and walked out of the store, disappearing as quickly and as imposing as they had arrived. Their job was done. They hadn't sought praise. They had merely enforced their own rigid moral code, proving once again that true heroes and true outlaws are often found in the most unexpected leather jackets. The incident went viral, not for the mockery, but for the shocking, powerful intervention of the men society had labeled as villains, who stepped in to defend a true American hero. They had saved the dignity of a veteran and perhaps the soul of a young man.